The bridge near Owers in County Galway was made famous in the 1950s classic The Quiet Man, which starred John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. Tourists come here from all over the world to visit this local attraction, and some have also been known to take small pieces of stone from the bridge. It was at this bridge in 1952 that John Wayne sat on the parapet of this narrow bridge here just outside Owers in County Galway. At the time they were making the movie The Quiet Man in Ashford Castle and the Domain. But I come here quite a lot, and I think back to those days when this must have been a hive of activity when this movie was being made. Barry Fitzgerald, Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne. We spent 4 days in Connemara on this occasion, and on our 4 days we crossed over from the mainland from Cladaduff to Omey Island on 2 particular mornings. Both mornings we were very lucky. Tide was on its way out, so we had some hours to get across safely, adventure around the island and return again across the tidal section. I'll just emphasise one more time that if you're visiting the west of Ireland and basing yourself in Cleggan or Clifton, and one morning perhaps or one afternoon decide to venture out from Cladaduff to Omey Island, please, at your accommodation, speak to somebody who has knowledge of the tides, high and low tides, on this stretch of crossing and sand. People have had some unbelievable problems here with vehicles and on foot, and there have been fatalities. So it's not as innocent as it looks, and when you actually go across here on foot or in a car, you will see that there is an anonymous presence lurking around this stretch between the island and the mainland. So please take note and seek advice prior to embarking on a trip across to Omey Island. This doesn't look very harmless from the video, but believe you me, there have been fatalities. There's been many cars caught in a rushing tide from the left and from the right, which is the dangerous aspect of this stretch. Omey Island is composed entirely of intrusive granites covered by wind-blown sandy soils. In the mid-19th century, Omey Island supported a large population of over 400 people who lived for the rich fishing around the island and from cattle raised on the fertile, lime-rich soils. There is no better place for a leisurely stroll, interesting and invigorating walk than St. Fechin's Sacred Island. The island was the ancestral home of the Connemara O'Tooles, who moved westward with the O'Flahertys in the Middle Ages. We arrive at the buried medieval church of Temple Fechin, Fechin's Church, which was built in a hollow to prevent it from raiders and, no doubt, the stormy prevailing gales from the west. In the 19th century, a substantial village existed here, orbiting the church. A ruined house can be traced on the ground and in the sand dunes around the church. Like many settlements, Omey Island was devastated by the famine. It is said that Saint Fechin of Foray founded a religious monastery on Omey Island in the 7th century. It took more than 6 weeks of excavation to uncover the ruin that we see here today. The discovery of the church ruin, which was buried in the sand for centuries, has not been dated as yet, but it is said that Temple Fechin is more than 1,000 years old. Well, I'm here in a derelict house on the island of Omey, just off the Connemara coast, and it's a sight for sore eyes, really. And I suppose, really and truly, it was a happy home for families, or particularly one family in times gone by. Nobody living on this island now. The last person to live here was Pascal, the stuntman, but it's now derelict. There are some holiday homes here, but I think today Kate and I are the only 2 people that would be on the island walking around. So, sad times. A window into the past. This plot of ground facing the wild Atlantic Ocean is where Pascal, the famous Hollywood stuntman, lived. He lived here for many years on retirement from working within the Hollywood industry on many blockbuster movies. He lived in a mobile home here, and it was on this piece of ground and in that mobile home that Pascal died in 2017 on the morning of his 75th birthday. Malachy King of Sweeney's Bar in Cleggan in County Galway recalls this tale, and many often involving the Hollywood stuntman Paschal Whelan, who went from big budget pictures back to his roots on this tidal island of County Galway. For years, Paschal was the sole resident on Omey Island. It's now said his death on his 75th birthday means it's the first time in more than 500 years that no one is permanently living on Omey Island. Paschal's mother came from Omey Island, and he played out there as a child, although his life took him a right around the world. He became a stuntman through a friend while living in Australia, and went on to gather credits in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the James Bond Live and Let Die, Crocodile Dundee, and many more blockbusters. According to Malachy, the death of another stuntman in an accident put a stop to Paschal's own career. He moved back here to Omey Island permanently, and he began an almost daily ritual whereby he awoke early in his mobile home and then drove across the tidal sands during the tidal window opportunities to get his messages and grab a few pints. Rest in peace, Paschal. According to the annals of the Four Masters, Fechin died on the 14th of February in the year 664 during the plague which struck the island at the time. A story about Fechin and the plague is found both in Latin in Life of Saint Gerald of Mayo and in the notes to the hymn Same Day by Colman of the Muccut Clusig in the Liber Hymnorum. It relates that the giant high kings Diarmait mac Edu Sláine and Blamac mac Edu Sláine appealed to Fechin and other churchmen, asking them to inflict a terrible plague on the lower class of society, and so decrease their numbers. Fechin was one of the churchmen to answer their request and to perish in the event, whereas Gerald kept aloof and survived. Well, hello again. To really enjoy and savour the delights and atmosphere of landscapes like Omey Island and the Aran Islands and Inishbofin and all the islands that I've been showing you over the years that Kate and I visit, I'm drawn to the islands off the Irish coast. The islands off the west coast are particularly special, rugged, wild, beautiful, but awfully atmospheric. And today, I wouldn't say that we're enjoying right. We're being tossed around like feathers in the wind, but it's absolutely stunning. Stunning. Wow, that was some shower of rain that just fell there. It's still quite mild, leaving a pair of solitary footprints here on beautiful sandy beach. Imagine this place in the summer months. Imagine this place in the summer we've had this year. We're coming down to the beach, and now we have to leg it across the sand flats at 100 miles an hour because the storm is getting more severe. The rain seems to be more persistent. Don't see us again. It was nice having you along, but hopefully we'll be fine. From a very atmospheric Omey Island. Take care.